Alright, so right now we've got this t-shirt design that we need to prepare and get it ready for screen print. We've got all of our layers here. Now we need to just get them all separated into their separate individual colors. If you have colors that blend together or gradients, you would use what's known as halftoning to give the illusion that it's going to be a blended color, but when in actuality it's just solid pixels being printed through the screen. So first off, I have all of my layers here that I'm going to be using to get this taken care of. So these are the general shapes and the artwork going all the way down. It's a lot, and we're going to have to fix it up a little bit. So what I mean by that is the artwork comes in, but since it has to be scaled and moved around, even if it's a smart object, you still have to worry about these blurs and the anti-aliasing. For screen printing, you want it to be sharp pixels. So to do that, we just have to level it out. So what I'm going to do is flatten everything together, rasterize layers, and then I'm going to hit Control E, and now it's all one solid shape that will just be able to disappear, blink of an eye. Up here is the grit pattern that goes across everything. We're going to knock that out once we get everything leveled. We'll knock it out from the main color, the white. Since this is a one color design, we're not going to have to do anything fancy. Just knock out this part to where the t-shirt comes through in those little spots that you see all the way through here to give it a kind of a vintage look. And then the grid, that's going to be separated. Since it's a kind of blurry, just to keep it from being so pronounced and visible above everything else, you can kind of see it in between these sections. We're going to take care of that too. So it's just going to be a little bit extra work. It's going to be worth it. Okay. So first off, we're going to level everything out. I'm going to put a new layer underneath the main color, the white one. And this one, I'm going to make it solid black. Just fill it in, and that's it. Now we're going to slap these two together. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can watch the anti-aliasing disappear. Let's go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. And you just want to play with it a little bit. I usually bring the black in, gray towards the black, and then the white towards all three of them. You just play with it a little bit, see which one looks good to you, because as you go further on the spectrum, it starts removing pixels, which could give an undesired effect, or if you come all the way up here, it can add too many. So I usually like to play around right in the middle. So now that we're right here, that looks good. Choose OK, and as you can see, now the anti-aliasing's gone. So that's exactly what we wanted. Now I'll go up to Select, Color Range, and then I'm going to select the black, choose OK, and just delete it. And now we have just our solid white pixels right here, ready to go. Now this layer won't need to be halftoned because it is just a solid color. What's going to need to be halftone is the grid. So I'm going to go ahead and paste my layer style on here real quick. This is a drop shadow. The drop shadow I have used full opacity, no distance, and just increase the spread and size. So that way it puts kind of a fuzzy outline around everything, giving a sort of three-dimensional effect. So going in, as it can finally do that, you can kind of see where it's darker on these parts. And this is going to be important because once we get this done in halftone and knock it out from the grid, then we're going to halftone the grid. And that's what we'll have to use. So you're going to take the drop shadow layer. So right click on the drop shadow layer and choose Create Layer. This is going to create its own separate layer that was the drop shadow. So now that layer effect is no longer there, and that's exactly what we want. Hold Control, click on the thumbnail for your white layer, or whatever color layer you're working with, and delete it from the black layer here. And that's going to reduce the amount that needs to be halftone. It makes things a lot easier, makes it look better. And now we're going to take this to halftone it. We're going to choose Duplicate Layer. So just right click on the name, Duplicate Layer, and you're going to want to set Document to New. It's going to create a new document, exact same size, proportions, and place the artwork in the exact same spot it was from the previous. Now we've just got this. I'm going to make a new layer, I'm going to bring it below, and we're going to change the color to white, since this is a dark color that we're going to be working with. Just slap some white on there. We're good to go. Now comes the process of halftoning. It's pretty much automated. You just have to choose a few menu options. So Image, Mode, Grayscale. It's going to ask you to merge. You'll just merge it. It's one layer. Go to Image, Mode again, and choose Bitmap this time. Yes, we're going to flatten layers even though it's already flattened. On this, you're going to make sure the output is 300 dpi, or pixels per inch, whatever. Keep it the same, otherwise it'll resize your artwork and you don't want that. Choose Halftone Screen. This is what we're going to be working with. Choose OK, and now comes the halftone settings. I'm working with frequency of 35 lines per inch, and the angle 22.5. If you leave it at like 0 or 45, it creates like this more pattern that is kind of undesirable. 22.5 makes it hard to see it and gives a better desired effect. And leave the shape round. There are some options here. They're not worth it. Just a round shape is all you need. You choose OK. And now you can see that the gradient is made up of circles that are of varying sizes. And it goes all the way down to 1 pixel. But that's okay because screens can print single pixels. This is also known as pinholes, and if it's not intended, it can be undesirable. Screen printers usually just go through and paint those in. That's not necessary for this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and back all the way out. Yep, looks great. So now we got to double click on this. Sorry, got to go to Image, Mode once more, and choose Grayscale to convert it back to something usable. Choose OK, and now you'll double click on this to just turn it into an actual layer that's not locked. And go to Select, Color Range, select the white, anywhere on the picture, just wherever there's white. OK, and then choose Delete. Now Control A will select all the artwork. Control C, of course. Now here's the key. When you go back to your main document, you're going to want to press Control, Shift, then V. That means to paste in place. It'll paste everything right back where it came from. So you don't have to line anything up. It's just right there where it should be. You're going to hide the layer that was not halftone, and then you can just zoom in and see what the effect looks like. Now I like to take this to give it a better effect. Since shirt colors are not true black, the Photoshop does, I'm going to just change this color and fill it with this color in the background. Leave it as foreground color and choose OK. And now it looks like shirt color is pulling through. So you'll want to Control, click on it again to select all the pixels that's on that layer. You're going to choose your grid layer and you're going to hit Delete. Now that has removed all of the pixels that were highlighted from the grid. So Everything that's here is just solid pixels, but now all this gradient that we see, we have to halftone it. Now, once we halftone it, we can leave it just as is, but I like to put a little bit of space between halftone layers when it comes to something like this. A little bit of space between the solid artwork and the halftone artwork. Even though they're going to be flattened to the same layer, a little tiny bit of space just makes things a little bit better. So we'll do this once again. Choose grid, right click on it, go to duplicate layer, new, once again, and everything's here. You can't see it because it's white and it's very light. So we'll make a new layer, put it underneath, and now we'll choose true black, and we're going to paint it in. See? Everything's there. It's kind of funky looking. All right, now you're going to go to image and repeat those same steps once again. Grayscale, merge, image, bitmap, flatten layers, 300, halftone screen, OK, 35, 22.5, round, OK. There we go. That's done. Back up to image, mode, grayscale. Size ratio is always going to stay 1, just so it's 1:1 ratio. Choose OK, double click, OK. And now this time, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to choose select, color range, and choose the black area, since you're wanting to lift the light color out of it. Choose OK, delete. Now all that's left is the light color. Control A to select all your artwork, Control C, and once again, Control Shift V to paste in place. All right, so we can hide the original grid layer, and it's here. So I'm going to rename this to Grid HT, meaning it's been halftoned. And yeah, that's it. Don't have to do anything else for that. There we go. So now that we've got everything set up here, this is all good to go. We're going to need to select this one time, Control click it, and then delete it from the grid halftone layer just to be safe. Make sure it's all clear, but you can still see that it's lifted away. Everything looks very similar to the original artwork. Our grid layer, we're going to show it again, and all I'm going to do is, well, actually, sorry. First, what I want to do is choose the white layer that's still solid without any pinholes or anything all in it from the grit layer. And I'm going to choose stroke. I'm going to choose black since that's what we're working with, or actually just the background here, that color. And I mean, that looks good to me as far as the size. You play with the size to what you want it and how far away you want things spaced. But the 27 actually looks pretty good. Make sure it's set to outside for the position. This can change for some reason. I'm not sure when or how, might be a bug. Just make sure that it's on outside, so it's outside the artwork and it's actually doing what you're trying to do, is put a little space between it and the background. Choose OK. And we're going to choose right click on where the eyeballs are, anywhere in this area. Right click, create layer. And looking at it, it makes it a solid color, which is kind of weird. You're just going to choose your white layer again by holding control and clicking the thumbnail, and then choosing that shadow layer, or the stroke layer, I'm sorry, and delete to knock it out. Actually, no. Better yet, we're going to leave it solid. You can do that. It's your preference, whichever way you want to work with it. We're going to choose this entire thing, since this is all going to need to be knocked out. I forgot about the lines in between here of the gator, how they're transparent. And we're going to go to grid halftone, delete. And now, if you were to remove everything else, you can see the halftone layer is many dots. They're just solid pixels. They'll come right through the screen. And that's it. And now we're going to show our white layer again. Now that we've got that all done, we can actually throw those away if you wanted. You can hold on to them, so that way if you needed to go back and do anything, but I usually work in two separate files. One file will be named artwork name, whatever, unsepped, so SEPPED, like shortened for separated. And then the one I'm currently working on will be separated. So when I go to save it, I'll put it as sept. So that way I know which one I was working on, and the other one remains untouched. I can go and make changes and then re-separate everything again. You can create actions in Photoshop to do the halftone process for you. It really takes like a few seconds once you got used to it, so there's not really a need for that. So now that we have these done, we're going to bring up our grit layer again. Control click to select all pixels. Choose the white layer. Delete. Now that has knocked it out. We no longer need the grit layer, and everything is separated into one solid color. We'll take the grid halftone layer and the white layer, and we're going to merge them together. So now we just have one single color, one single screen to be burned, and that's it. Slap it on a shirt, spread the ink, done. Nothing else has to be done. Now we'll go ahead and save the file. Oh wait, sorry, I've already done that part. So you would want to go in and save your file, make sure it's what needs to be named, and that'll take care of it. I usually like to just name this white and 6x3C for the Pantone single coat, Pantone plus single coat color registration. And this, I just put delete me. So when they open the file, the Photoshop file, they'll see what the artwork is intended to look like on a shirt, but they'll know that this layer needs to be deleted, and then they print this off. That should take care of it. I would like to do more videos about this. I'm going to see what I can do about it. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.